Hey, you guys, how are you? How are you? How are you? I want to welcome you to this podcast where I'm going to be talking about the new nonprofit and what it is to start and grow a nonprofit organization. I know for many of you, the idea of wanting to share your passion, wanting to do a work that is impactful, wanting to help and to serve your community, which is admirable and needed. Um, but once you begin the process of turning your idea into a business, into an organization, this is where I find many people struggle. Many people become frustrated and become lost in what are the steps, what are the processes, and wanting to know what a checklist, right? I'm always getting the idea, Jen, I need a checklist. I need a checklist. What do I need to do? What are the steps that you need to file? Many of you who have gone ahead and got your 501c3 paperwork filed with the IRS, you've gotten your designation letter back, you've put people on a board, but many of you are struggling with, what do I do with the board? How do I organize um, my organization around my program? So you have your program, and then with that comes the finances and the development of money, the development of resources, the development of relationships, the development of impact and communication, right? So all of things work together. Think of it as a triangle, as a triangle. On one end of the point of the triangle is program. On another point of the triangle is finances, because we need the finances in order to fund the program. And then on the last part of that triangle is development. Development is development of messaging, development of branding, development of relationships, development of money, right? And so all of these three points make the triangle. They don't work separately. You can't have a program out by itself without the finances and that development part, the development of partners, the development of resources, the development of materials to help support that program, right? And so I want today just talk to you about what it is to start a new nonprofit, the mindset, the um, the intentionality, the plan, and the knowledge, right, of what you need to know in order to take your organization from a thought into an actual sustainable organization. Now, who am I to talk about this? Um, I am a 30-year, close to 40-year veteran in the area of nonprofit management. I've worked in every single role in the nonprofit. And so it has been my life career to get organizations ready to deliver program to meet the needs of your community and to get the support from your community so that your work can continue, can grow and thrive and be successful. All right. And so I bring to the table an expertise, a knowledge as a coach, as a mentor, as a person who's done the work, the day to day, and the person who has trained and and groomed and mentored thousands of leaders nationally and internationally on how to start their nonprofit organizations properly, how to grow them, and how to sustain them. All right. So during this podcast, we're going to talk about the characteristics of a successful nonprofit and the elements that you need to get started. Okay. So as a new nonprofit organization, today we're going to talk about the characteristics of a successful organization and the elements needed to get started. Okay, so let's talk first about the stages of the nonprofit startup. You begin with an idea phase. That's where many people are very passionate. And then you take that idea and you want to jump straight into the startup phase. And then there's the growth phase, and then there's the mature phase. Okay, so first there's the ideas phase, then there's the startup phase, the growth phase, and then the mature phase. Okay, so the idea phase is where you have passion as your focus and not the plan. And this is where many organizational leaders come to me because they are very passionate, they are very committed to their passion, but they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan of how to do the other parts of that triangle I was speaking about. They don't have a plan of how to get donors, how to bring about awareness, how to get in front of businesses and individuals who would want to support their work, right? So the passion is usually the focus in the idea stage, but there has to be a plan. And that's where expertise comes in, right? There has to be a plan. That's where knowledge comes in. And so you've got to move from a place of this is what my passion is to this is what my expertise is going to allow me as a leader, as the one who puts the program and the organization in place, the team in place, so that we can implement the plan. Your plan does not only include your program, not your program delivery. Your plan includes how do we maintain it? How do we sustain it? How do we raise resources for it? How do we get partners and collaborators? How do we communicate about it? How do we brand it, right? So the plan requires some level of knowledge and expertise, right? So starting a nonprofit just with passion alone you're gonna find yourselves, as many as you all know, frustrated, feeling stuck. All right. And so going through this podcast is what I want to bring clarity around and give you some insight. Okay. So now we've gone from the passion stage. Now we've got to go into some knowledge stage. And this startup stage that after you have gotten your paperwork filed, you now are creating a clear plan. And a part of that plan is your program and putting a board in place that can assist you, identifying staff that can be on your team, as well as the finances that are going to help support this work on an immediate and an ongoing basis. All right. So we went from the passion phase to the startup phase. And in this startup phase is where you want to have information, you want to have knowledge, you want to have clarity about how do we market and brand our program? How do we invite the people who are not in our program to support our program, right? Because your donors, your contributors, your funders are not the people who are in your program. So you've got to have some level of knowledge, some level of comfortability, some level of clarity around how do we invite, engage, articulate the value of this program to those who would support it, right? So again, the passion phase is just that. It's all hype, it's all emotion. But when we get into the plan phase, you do need some expertise. You do need some knowledge, okay? Then we've got to put your board together. That's in the startup phase. We've got to get 3 people who are on board, who have a vision, who have knowledge and understanding and commitment to the mission, right? Not just to being on your board, but who also believe in the work that your organization does and wants themselves to be a part of sharing that within the community. Knowing what the roles and the responsibilities are of your board is very key. So that takes some knowledge. It takes some expertise in that. And then identifying who are the people that would work with you, either as staff members or as volunteers, as program leaders, administrative leaders, whoever those staff are, being able to put the right people on the team to help your organization grow, to help your program grow, and to also help facilitate the spending of the last item, the budget, right? So that takes some knowledge of knowing what are my expenses? What is a budget? A budget is expenses and revenue. A budget is expenses and revenue. So when you are putting together your budget, you then got to have some knowledge, some information around how do we not only know how much the program costs, the organizational costs are, but also knowing how much do we need to raise in order to take this organization to the next level. All right. So that's where the clear plan looks like. Okay, so successful nonprofits, and you can define what a successful nonprofit looks like to you, right? You could look at some of the large national, international organizations, many of whom I've worked for, many of whom I've raised money for, many of whom I've led with on the board or in a role of executive director. But you can also look at um, a successful nonprofit as one that has a working board, a clear plan, and a leader who is equipped to build a team, to grow an organization, and to expand your impact in your area, within your state, within your region, however you choose to do that. So what is a successful nonprofit? You have a compelling mission that is attractive, that is one that your community sees the value in, right? A successful nonprofit has a capable leader. That means you understand the governance, you understand the leadership, you understand the responsibilities, you understand the knowledge of how to grow and raise a team, right? That you are qualified, prepared, equipped to not just deliver a program, and that you have efficient operations and support systems in place in order to make that happen. In any business, many of you who have a 9-to-5, right? You have a function within a larger company. And so your function does not operate alone, right? You work and operate within a larger system. And so very much like your nonprofit, your program does not work alone. It operates within a larger system. You've got your board as a part of the system. You've got fundraising as a part of a system. You've got communications as a part of a system. You've got community partnerships as a part of a system. And all of these systems, all of these things working together is what brings awareness, brings resources, brings attention, brings clarity, brings validity to your organization. And that is where the support lies. All right. So many of you who are operating without support, I want to invite you to look at the other systems that could be in place, should be in place, and will help you deliver your clear mission. All right. So you have a mission, and the mission is to talk about your purpose, your services, and your beneficiaries. The roles and responsibilities of your board is to help you move that mission story, evangelize regarding that mission, to ensure that there are adequate resources leading the organization in the relevance and the pertinence and the importance in the community around the integrity, the accountability, the performance of your program, right? So the roles and responsibilities of the board begin with you as the leader, that they are working with you as partners, they're working with you as co-laborers, they're working with you with passion and commitment to the mission. So you put them on the board because they believe in the mission. All right. And they believe in it so that they choose to be leaders and play the role, or to participate in the role as board members. Okay. So again, having a level of knowledge and expertise in order to take your organization from an idea phase, from a passion phase, to a phase of functioning, to a phase of being capable, being clear in its mission, and being able to achieve your program delivery as well as your resources, are all led by you, the executive director. Okay, your programs and your services is the focus of the community. So you have a community that is made up of the people who are going to be in your program, right? That's a part of your community. But then there's a part of the community that are going to be those people that support your program. They're not going to be in your program. They're never going to come into your program, right? So these are the business leaders. These are the partners. These are the organizations. These are the agencies. These are the funders who have no knowledge of the day-to-day of your program, but are more interested in the impact, because that's what they're supporting. They're supporting through their gifts, through their contributions, through their donations, the impact of your organization, right? They're looking forward to ensuring that the continuation of your mission continues to move forward. And so they support you because they want to see your mission continue. They see the value in your mission being accomplished. And so That's why they are led to support your organization. They believe in the mission, they believe that it's relevant, they believe that it's timely, and that's how you get the support. So you as the leader are very clear in how to articulate that, how to build those relationships, how to communicate that via social media, through the articulation of your branding. All of those things are important. Again, we're talking about the steps and the checklist of starting a nonprofit. It's really being able to assess where you are and saying, am I at a place where I am driven by passion, or do I also need knowledge, right? People perish for lack of knowledge, not money, all right? People perish because of lack of money, not lack of knowledge, not money. And so let's talk about the money, the program and the money, because in any business, you've got to be able to raise money. In any business, you've got to be able to raise the resources that are going to help ensure that your business stays in business. All right. So what is it that attracts donors? What is it that attracts funders? What is it that gets the attention of your partners and your collaborators? It's a strong statement of case, right? A strong mission. It's a strong articulation of what is the result of what you're doing, right? How is what you're doing going to change, or what's at stake if your organization is not in place? So being able to really talk about your program to audiences that are again, not in your program, all right? The people that give you the money are not in your program. So being able to relate to that audience of donors, of funders, of partners, of collaborators, you then want to be able to let them know the core elements of your organization, the core elements that lead to impact, result, or change. You need to be able to make those statements. And you make those statements either in email, you make those statements either in face-to-face conversation, you make those face-to-face through relationships with someone that knows someone that knows someone that would or could know you, right? So creating that messaging, creating that documentation, creating those stories, creating those testimonials are those cases. And everyone is different. Some may say, give me a testimony. Some may say, tell me about your program. And so knowing the different ways to talk about the impact of your program takes knowledge, right? And we talk about it from a place of, we want them, the donor, the funder, the contributor, to trust you with their money, right? So there has to be a clarity, there has to be a specificity, there has to be a knowledge, there has to be a building and a communicating of something that puts this person at ease to write you a check. Passion is not what moves them to write the check, right? 98% of your donors, your contributors, give because of impact. So being able to state the case of why your organization is important, why it's relevant, being able to state it in writing, being able to state it on social media, being able to state it in the face-to-face. This is where the expertise comes in, all right? This is where the professionals and the experts in this field, in this industry, they're so far ahead. Why? Because it takes a plan of how am I going to articulate, how am I going to reach? If I'm articulating my impact, who am I speaking to, right? I've got to be able to get in front of those individuals. I've got to be able to get their interest. I've got to be able to know what they are interested in. I've got to be able to ask them, what about our program are you interested in funding, right? So that takes a nuance that is beyond passion. And so on your checklist right now, I want you to be clear about how comfortable are you in articulating impact? How comfortable are you in sharing your impact story, not your action story? All right. Remember, activity is not impact. Activity is not impact. Activity is not impact. So sharing your impact story in various ways, either through email, through social media, through face-to-face, through a phone call, right? You've got to be very fluid. You've got to be very creative. You've got to be able to really have that story. Now, what I know and what my experience is that a lot of people are very clear about what they're passionate about, but they're not clear about what that looks like on paper. right? I know what it is that I want to do, but I don't have it on paper. I don't have the step 1, step 2, step 3. And without those things, right? Without those things, then we're not able to build a team that is going to help you deliver that, right? No one is a mind reader. So being able to write the vision, make it plain. I find that a lot of people are frustrated with themselves because their passion for the work is clear, but the plainness of how to implement the plan, implement the steps, implement the strategies, move the organization forward is what's missing. I always say that there are only 3 reasons that nonprofit organizations struggle financially. There are only 3 reasons that nonprofit organizations struggle financially, and money is not one of them. One of them is I don't have a clear plan. I don't have a strategic plan. I don't have a plan that lets me go from idea phase to startup phase to growth phase, right? I don't have a plan that says these are the steps in which we should do that work. I don't have a plan on who's should be a part of it and what those roles and responsibilities should be. So that because of that, we don't have then a target, we don't have then a scope, we don't have then an idea of what we need financially, all right? Because it's not plain, we don't know. We know what the program costs, but we don't know what it costs. We know what we spent out of our pocket, but we don't know how to put that in a budget for, all right? So that lack of knowledge of that strategic plan is one of the reasons that there is no money, right? The second reason is because we're not clear about how to engage the various audiences around our impact. Again, 98% of your donors give because of impact. 98% of your donors give because of impact, not because of your passion, right? And so they are entrusting you with their resources because they want the impact to continue. That's why it's so important to be able to articulate impact. And so many of us talk about our passion. Many of us talk about what's not in place. Many of us talking about what we've gone through, but that's not the impact message that they need to hear. And because we're not articulating impact, that's another reason that people are not coming alongside you to say, oh my gosh, that's an amazing change. That's an amazing difference. That is so important work that you're doing. We want to be a part of that, right? So that's the number 2 reason why there is no money. And then the number 3 reason, in terms of checklists, the number 3 reason that organizations have no money is because the leader is the lid, right? The leader doesn't know what to do next. The leader does not know how to move it forward. The leader does not know how to lead the board. The board is in place and they're looking to you as the leader to give instruction, to give direction, to lay out the plan. And because the leader does not know how to do that, the organization continues to flounder and to be stuck. Think of it this way. Money is a fruit, not the root. Money is a fruit, not the root, okay? The root is I need to be able to have a plan to get in front of my partners, to get in front of businesses, to engage, to invite. I need to have a plan and a process of how do I get in front of them? How do I make that introduction? That's a plan, right? And so not having that does not then put you in front of those people that have the money, have the resources, could have the interest, right? Also, at the root is you're talking about a language that does not inspire and motivate and engage a funder to give, right? We want them to know about your organization, but beyond knowing about your organization, we need to bring them to a place where they are interested, committed to continue to give on an ongoing basis, right? So your budget is met. Money comes when it is coming on a regular, ongoing basis. Again, that's where the skill set comes in. Being able to say, this is what our budget is, this is how we are, this is how your support enables us or equips us to fulfill our mission and to complete the impact that is necessary in the community. Without that language, then you're talking a lot, you're sharing a lot of your activity, or you may be doing a lot of the work yourself, but without being able to educate, inspire, influence, engage, motivate your donors to give. 98% of them give because of impact, 98% of them give because of impact. And if we're not giving that impact message, if we're not reaching them, touching them, growing in their interest to want to support your work, then that's where the money is. And the third reason of the root is if the leader does not know what to do, does not know how to function with the board, does not know how to speak comfortably with people that they don't currently know, and to grow their knowledge base of relationships, then that limits your income potential, right? So money, again, is not the root. Money is the fruit. Money is the fruit. That once you have these other components in place, once you've got a strategic plan, once you're able to articulate impact, once you as the leader understands your role, responsibility, your opportunity, within the community, not just the people that you serve, but in the community of businesses and influencers and decision makers, those are the people that have the resources and the money, right? So you having that knowledge as the leader are able to then grow your team with knowledge. You're able to show those who are on your team, on your board, what to do. You are equipped to equip someone else. That if you as the leader don't know, then likely that anyone else who comes into your organization won't know either, all right? So as a result of that, that's where money is a problem, right? So you create a budget that has projected expenses, and many of you are paying for these expenses out of your own pocket. But you're missing the knowledge and the opportunity for the income, right? So grants are episodic. Fundraisers are episodic, and both of them are important as it relates to income, but you also have got to have that ongoing money opportunity, those monthly donors, those regular donors, those major donors, right? Those corporate sponsors. There are at least 8 to 10 income streams. So as it relates to the checklist of a nonprofit startup, really being able to say, I've got passion, but what knowledge do I have around these various streams of money coming into my organization? Because once you're able to open up these streams, you've got money, you've got in kind, you've got collaborations, you've got grants, you've got events, all of these resources coming in collectively together, that is more money coming from various places into your organization to help you offset the expenses of program, operation, and the like, right? So that means that you've got to have a plan. So taking your organization from a place of passion to a place of knowledge and expertise, okay? This is how organizations grow and sustain themselves. Grow and sustain themselves, okay? That you are then able to set realistic goals. You are able to diversify your funding stream. You are able to put together a fundraising plan and a timetable, right? You've got an annual budget. That means 12 months to raise the resources for your program and your organization. So putting together that plan with the timetable says, what activities should we be doing to raise money in January, raise money in February, raise money in March, raise money in April, raise money in May, raise money in June, right? Because you are on a timeline. Again, this is where on your checklist, you're saying, listen, I got passion, but what do I know about fundraising? What do I know about putting together a clear fundraising plan? What do I know about leading and inspiring my board, giving them the tools and the resources that they need to be successful as board members, not just coming to board meetings, right? And then you as an organizational leader being able to evaluate the efforts and the effectiveness of that plan that will help you plan for future years. That if you understand what it takes to raise money in this year, and you're able to do that successfully, now you can plan for next year. Without the knowledge and the clarity of how to raise money for this year, it's very hard to plan for the future. It's very hard to determine how your organization can grow, all right? And so again, looking at the various funding opportunities, you've got individuals, you've got private funding opportunities, you've got foundations, you've got corporations, you've got earned income, you've got government funding, you've got in-kind. Again, there are several streams of income, and your role as the executive director, your role as the CEO is to really make sure that the organization's mission and vision is fulfilled, and that you, working in cooperation and collaboration with the board, are getting the resources, have the support, so that you're able to meet and maintain your budget, your expenses, as well as income, and that you're able to then facilitate your program successfully. All right. So again, there are startup phases, and that startup phase is where there has to be a level of expertise. And that's where I come in, quite frankly, guys. All right. There was a study that was done about organizations and those that fail or those that have to close their doors. And out of 100 organizations, 82 out of 100 fail, right? Do not raise money, don't have the resources that they need to operate effectively, right? 82 out of 100. Why are there so many? Because of those three reasons that I spoke about. 82% of those leaders, 82% of those leaders don't have a clear plan, are not able to articulate impact, and themselves don't know what to do first, second, or third. They don't understand the plan. They don't understand the process. They may have been new to this. No one has shown them. They've not gotten any training. They've not got any knowledge. And obviously that is why they're struggling, right? So out of 100, 82% fail. This was a study that was done in 2016. All right. And I'm sure that number is much higher now. Back in the day when I started doing this work in the nonprofit, there weren't as many nonprofits as there are now. All right. There are almost 3 million nonprofits. And the criteria for funding wasn't as stringent as it is right now. Why is that? Because again, the criteria, the savviness of the donors, there weren't as many organizations as there are now. So it is important and imperative that if you want to grab the attention of your funders, of your donors, if you want to be clear about where your next opportunities for growth and expansion come from, you've got to have some knowledge, right? Back in the day, you could start a nonprofit and just have passion. But now that your donors are more creative, now your donors want to be more engaged. Now there are more organizations that are serving an audience like yours. You want to be intentionally a part of that 18%. Remember, I told you that out of 100 organizations, 82% of them fail. Right? But the 18%, which very well could be you, the 18% are those that have knowledge, have clarity, and have a plan. All right. And so I come alongside organizations and leaders to provide that insight, that knowledge, that mentoring to equip you, prepare you, propel you, and to position your organization, not only to move within your passion, but to get the resources that are necessary in order to fund your program operations as well as your organizational systems as well. All right. As a professional fundraiser, as a professional grant writer, as a nonprofit leader myself, understanding the ins and outs of the day-to-day. Your day-to-day does not only include program. All right. You've got to be able to market. You've got to be able to brand. You've got to be able to communicate. You've got to be able to engage. You've got to be able to plan and systematize your organization. That once you get a donation, how is it that you are able to get that person who gave the one donation an opportunity to give another contribution? Right? So that's a system. That's a plan that you've got to have in place. So when you're putting your checklist together to say, listen, what do I know about starting a nonprofit? You move from passion, and then you move to a plan. You move from passion to a plan. All right. And that you are taking your organizational business, right? It's a business. It's a business that needs money and resources. You're taking that business and you are presenting it in front of business people. Those are your funders. Those are your donors. Those are your grantors. These are business people. And they're wanting to see, why is the investment in you and your organization the right decision? Right? So look at it as your partners, your donors, your contributors are investors, okay? And so you want to make sure that you are making a very clear case your articulation of impact, and that you are sharing and showing that your organization is one that can be trusted with their resources. Now, guys, listen. Again, I've been doing this work for a very long time, going on 40 years. And as a nonprofit leader and having had to raise millions of dollars each and every year, I can tell you that once you have made up your mind that you want to operate like the 18%, that means you got a clear strategic plan. That means you understand how to articulate impact. That means you as the leader understand the roles and opportunities that it takes to connect with potential donors, how to engage prospective donors, how to invite and inform them to give not just a one-time gift, but an ongoing gift. Then your organization will be able to implement, will be able to successfully contribute a powerful and impactful mission in the lives of the people that you serve each and every day. And not only that, the people that could support you will be glad to do so. Again, those are your investors, okay? This is a profession. The nonprofit industry is a profession, and it is the third largest income generator in the United States. The nonprofit is the third largest income generator. Behind retail and technology is the nonprofit. Why? Because we do the work in the community that government cannot do and that businesses cannot do. So our work is important. Your mission matters, but it takes a knowledge, it takes a understanding, it takes a clarity, it takes a capability and a capacity to do the job of managing your program and managing your organization. So you don't just run an program, you run an organization that builds trust within your community, that is knowledgeable about the cause and the audience that you serve, and the people in your community support the organization so that your program and your mission can be successful. All right. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was clear. I would love to hear your feedback. I invite you to go to my website, www.jd as in David, yarbrough.com, www.jd.com. I invite you to visit me on Facebook. I've got a Facebook group called Nonprofit Leaders Impacting Lives, Nonprofit Leaders Impacting Lives. On LinkedIn, you can find me at Jennifer Yarbrough. On Instagram, I'm at Jen the Grant Guru, Jen the Grant Guru. And if at any point you would like to speak with me and to take advantage of a complimentary 20-minute call where we can talk about your program, talk about where you would like to be, and the various ways that my team and I can help you, then I invite you again to go to my website, www.jdyarbrough.com, schedule the 20 minutes on my calendar, and let's have a conversation about how we can take your organization to the next place, right? Putting that checklist in place, putting that plan with the right actions in place, putting your budget in place, putting your systems in place, and helping you as the leader understand what opportunities, what responsibilities, and where you as the visionary can take your organization to the next level in the area of funding, in the area of program, and in the area of awareness. All right, guys, I am Jennifer Yarbrough. I am here as your nonprofit expert to help you start, to help you grow, and to help you sustain your nonprofit business. Remember, it takes more than passion. At some point, you're going to have to get some expertise. At some point, you're going to have to get some knowledge, and coaching and is the quickest way, the greatest way to get from point A to B is to follow someone who's done it before. And I have done this work for over 30 years. This is all I've done is helping leaders like yourselves take your passion, put a plan with it, so that you are able to be sustainable. All right, let's do the work. Here we are going into the second half of this year. Now is the right time to make those decisions, put that plan in place, and begin to really see the results of what's in front of you and the opportunities that you have. All right, guys, have an amazing rest of your day or evening whenever you're listening to this. And thank you again for sharing. Thank you for tagging and sharing this information and knowledge with someone else who may benefit from it. All right, take care.